Today we're looking at one of the most underrated setups, the Citi Trifecta. This involves 3 cards. The base 2 are the Citi Double Cash card and the Citi Custom Cash card. After that, it's kind of a pick your own adventure between the Citi Strata card, Citi Strata Premier card, and the Citi Strata Elite. We'll run through the basics, how to maximize value and get the most out of it, and also map out all the multipliers since there's a lot going on. Big favorite before we dive into everything though is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Okay, starting with the basics, one of the core premises of a trifecta is that the system works together. The hope is that the value is more than the sum of its parts. With Citi, despite the top level marketing being cash back on some of its cards, the cash back is actually earned in the form of thank you points. The upside being that you can transfer these points to partners and then use the reward charts to get more value. And this is how a lot of normal people are flying first in business class for a lot cheaper than the retail price. Unlike a lot of other issuers, you don't actually need premium cards or annual fee cards in order to unlock transfer partners. It is quite limited without it though. So if you want the maximum transfer rate and also all the partners unlocked, then you'd need to have the Citi Strata Premier card or the Citi Strata Elite. The main idea though is that we're taking these points, putting them onto a stew in order to get more out of it and make something tasty. With that said, the first card is a Citi Double Cash card. This is the most straightforward of the bunch. Here you're getting 2% cash back, 1% when you buy, and 1% when you pay. This is unlimited and there's no cap. There are technically other categories as well, but it might not matter if you are running this setup. For example, you're getting 5% total on Citi travel bookings, which include hotels, car rentals, and attractions. We talked about pulling these points and also passing it, but you can also redeem it as cash back, so you do have a lot of flexibility. The main idea though is that this acts as your catch-all card. Also as a hurdle rate for your other multipliers from the other cards for them to even matter. Next up is the Citi Custom Cash card. This is your specialist and it does one thing really well. A good way to think of it is that this is a relief pitcher or pinch hitter. You earn 5% cash back on your top eligible spend category each billing cycle on up to $500 in spend. For everything else, it's just 1%. The categories here are pretty broad. This includes restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores, select travel, select transit, select streaming services, drugstores, home improvement stores, fitness clubs, and live entertainment. The strategy is to use that card for that one category that you spend about $500 on that's not covered by other cards. One pro tip is that you can stack multiple of these and either have them used for different categories or as spillover options if you're spending more than $500. For example, this person has 3. The only way to do this is via product changes. So you have to have a bunch of Citi cards and then product change into them. You cannot apply for multiple. It still makes a lot of sense though, since you generally want to apply for a lot of lucrative cards, given intro bonuses, and this acts as a perfect downgrade path. But yeah, even as of 5 months ago, this has worked and it's been fine. So for example, this couple has 4 of them between each other, and it's pretty standard. If that sounds like a lot of mental bandwidth, I get a label maker and just label what the card does. Or little dots if you want something less awkward. On top of this, you're earning 4% additional cash back on hotels, car rentals, and attractions, booked with Citi Travel. It's not the craziest card, but pretty good for a no annual fee one. Moving on, we have the Citi Strata card. This is the start of the pick your own adventure options. This one's not the most exciting. You get 5x on hotels, car rentals, and attractions booked through Citi Travel, 3x at supermarkets, 3x in select transit and at gas stations and EV charging stations, and 3x on self-selected categories of your choice. This includes fitness clubs, select streaming services, live entertainment, cosmetic stores, barbershops, and also hair salons, or pet supply stores. As you might have noticed, a bit of overlap with the last card. Feel free to pause if needed, but mapping it out, it depends on how much you spend and if you want to stack cards. Outside of this, there are other categories that might be interesting. Obviously, this can change, and there is a case for holding both, and maybe doing a quadfecta instead of a trifecta. Especially because it's no annual fee, and it's not hurting you. Like with the other no annual fee cards, you can transfer to partners, but the rates aren't ideal, and you don't have as many choices. To me at least, this is a great choice if you want to run the Citi setup, but maybe you're not traveling as much yet. For example, let's say you're a student still in school, or maybe you're taking a break from traveling because you have a newborn. Travel cards are great when you're traveling, but annoying otherwise. Depending on stage of life, sometimes the highest opportunity and most valuable one is time at home with family. Heading into the holidays and shopping season, be very careful with free packages. If you get something that you didn't expect, it might not be Santa or a gift from a family member, but something called a brushing scam. One way to protect yourself is today's sponsor, Delete Me. What these scammers do is send you cheap items, pretty much junk grade stuff. They'll include a QR code in the package that leads to a compromised site. Once you use that code, they know they have a live one, and they might start sending more stuff. Their goal is to get key personal data or financial access, or for you to install malicious software. The way that they're probably getting the initial information though is probably through data brokers. Do me a quick favor. Search for your first name, last name, and phone number, or first name, last name, and street name. Let me know what you see, but I was pretty shocked when I first did this. There are ways to remove the stuff yourself, but it can take hours, and it's not fun. Delete Me makes it super easy, and I've been using them for more than a year. In that time, they've reviewed over 92k listings from 149 data brokers, reviewing thousands of listings every month, and removing the ones that include me without me lifting a finger. I'm pretty careful with this stuff, but it still somehow ends up on these sites. On average, Delete Me removes over 2,000 pieces of data in your first 2 years. If you want to join me and protect your personal information, then check out joindeleteme.com/AskSebby and use promo code SEBBY for 20% off their US consumer plans. The next option is the Citi Strata Premier card. In the past, this was a great workhorse, but the meta has kind of changed with the last card. As a starting point, this card has a $95 annual fee. One thing helping is a $100 annual hotel benefit. It is a bit annoying since it's off a single stay and has to be $500 or more, and it has to be through cititravel.com. For some people, it's going to cover the annual fee, and for others, they're probably not going to use it. Or you might use it, but you probably want to discount it. So for example, I've used it in the past, but I'd probably only value it at about 50% of its face value, given the requirements, but depends on you there. Multipliers aren't bad, but potentially cannibalized. You're getting 10x on hotels, car rentals, and attractions booked through cititravel.com. You get 3x on air travel and other hotel purchases, and also at restaurants. Also 3x at supermarkets and gas stations and EV charging stations. As you can tell, quite a bit of overlap. Mapping these out, there is still value across the board, but really depends on you. For example, restaurants are now in play since it's 3x and past that 2% hurdle rate. Other categories like supermarkets, gas stations, and EV charging though are exactly the same. Also, if you spend a ton on transit, but you don't want to stick it on the Citi Custom Cash card because it's doing something else, then there is a case of making this a 4-card setup, given the 3x here. Outside of multipliers, the main argument is that this opens the window to transfer partners. This unlocks the full list at the best rates. You also get better travel protections, but it does depend on what you're looking for. I think for a lot of people, this ends up being a good sweet spot. You unlock the upside of the points and why the setup even exists without paying a big annual fee. Also without dealing with a big coupon book. For most people, you should be able to use the hotel benefit in at least some way, otherwise $95 isn't bad for a pretty good conduit. The last option is the Citi Strata Elite. This is the whale of the Citi system. You have a $595 annual fee with up to $1,500 in value. I'd be careful of this number though. Speed running through this, you get an annual hotel benefit, which I think is pretty useful despite the 2-night minimum and having to book through cititravel.com. No minimum spend or threshold, which makes it more valuable to me. They also have an annual splurge credit with a bunch of options from First Dibs, American Airlines, Best Buy, Future Personal Training, and Live Nation. I buy a lot of stuff from Best Buy, so pretty easy. For me at least, those are the two that are tangible, and the other ones are a bit iffier. For example, even though I do a lot of rideshare, I have a hard time justifying Black Lane given the numbers. Run the numbers for yourself if it makes sense, great, but otherwise a bit tough. Priority Pass can also be solid abroad, but a bit weaker domestically. The $469 sticker price is fine, but I don't think most people should value it at that number. You can if you want, but for me, as someone who does this stuff, I have a tough time making that argument. Admiral Club passes aren't bad, but $75 per visit is a bit rich in my opinion, but I guess people do pay that at the door. For flagship lounges, I'd probably pay $50 or more, but Admiral's Club probably $25, maybe $30. Global Entry and TSA PreCheck is another one that might be useful if you don't have it already, but if you do from other cards, then you can't really value this unless you need more of them. One benefit though is that this card might be a lot cheaper if you do have a lot of money at Citi, so think 200k to 1 million range. Outside of the annual fee and the credits that help balance it, along with Priority Pass and Admiral's Club passes, the 4 of them, the other main draw are the multipliers. You get a whopping 12x on hotels, car rentals, and attractions booked through cititravel.com. For air travel booked through cititravel.com, it's 6x. Dining is a bit interesting, so during city nights, you get 6x, and regularly you only get 3x. One other interesting thing is you get 1.5x on all your other purchases, so if you don't want to get a double cash card, then you can still kind of do a setup. I'd still get the double cash though, since it's 33% more, and it's no annual fee. Depending on your effective annual fee numbers, the next step is to see how the multipliers work for you. Citi Strata Elite wins on hotels, car rentals, and attractions through cititravel.com. Same thing for air travel, but only if you're willing to book through their portal. Restaurants are the same other than Citi nights on Friday and Saturday between the relevant times. If you don't want to book through a portal, then the Citi Strata Premier card might be the better pick. It's also better for supermarkets, gas stations, and EV charging. As you can tell, this is fine, but a little bit annoying. If we zoom out, we can map all three of the Strata picks, and you could make an argument for the Citi Strata card and one of the annual fee cards. But yeah, a bit weird given the overlap and how they designed the cards. Maybe it is a quadfecta since that weirdly works. As long as you have one of the annual fee cards though, you can transfer to partners, and Citi has a bunch of them. This can and does change, and it's pretty common with the space. As of filming, these are their airline transfer partners. The highest value for upside relative to the number of points you need or miles you need would be American Airlines, Flying Blue, Singapore, and Virgin Atlantic Flying Club / Virgin Red. You could make arguments for the other ones depending on your use case, so for example Turkish or Qatar. For hotels, it depends on region and specific use case. There is still value, but not as crazy as flights. If you want a cheat sheet for Citi transfer partners, I'll put a link down below and send you an email with a Notion template. The example I use the most given the value and also places that a lot of people want to go, and the fact that I've used this a lot myself, is Virgin Atlantic. You transfer from Citi to Virgin Atlantic to book with their partner ANA. For first class, you're looking at $57.5K to $85K depending on where you are in the US. For business class, it's $37.5K to $60K. Availability is tough and it does disappear pretty fast, usually 1 to 6 hours after it pops up. Virgin Atlantic typically shares the same award space as United and Virgin Velocity, so that's a pretty good proxy. In my experience, SFO, Chicago, and Hawaii are your best bets for availability and ease of finding stuff. I am looking to cover how to use points more in future videos, but I'm probably going to break it down by program rather than put them into videos like this, since it's annoying to change. Main rationale being that things update and programs change a lot, and I don't want to have to redo every video I do just because of another program. Maybe even doing it as a separate channel since it is a bit more niche, and using points feels a bit different than the economics of cards. Also, I need to figure out how to set expectations and keep people happy since award space, pricing, and everything changes pretty fast. It's something I want to cover, but I want to make sure I do it well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and what you'd like to see. On that note, if you want to learn about cards and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, but otherwise, it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Also, thank you again to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. If you made it to this point, leave a pot of stew emoji or pot of food emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the Citi Trifecta? Number 2, what cards would you run in it, and would you run it as a quadfecta? Number 3, how do you feel it compares to the other setups from other issuers? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, by the way, if you liked it. See you next time.